what do you think if I told you, in America, they've come up with a piece of technology that can turn this into something that ends up in your school food?
To tell consumers about the ground beef a lot of us buy at the supermarket.
Some 70% of ground beef at supermarkets contains, get this, pink slime.
Wow.
The slime, we are told, is actually beef trimmings that were once used in dog food.
Red meat, especially beef, has become a popular food in the United States over the years. Different parts of the cow are sold at different prices, based on their quality of meat. Typically, the carcass of the animal should be thrown away because of the proximity to sources of pathogens in the cattle's body. However, meat factories have developed a process in which the meat of the carcass is separated, cleaned, and modified to be consumed by pets, and then in 2001, further modified for human consumption. This substance is called lean, finely textured beef, or pink slime, as Gerald Sternstein called it in 2002.
After the main parts of the cow are removed, the carcass is chopped up, heated, and put into a centrifuge, where it is spun fast enough to separate the meat from the fat. Since this lean, finely textured beef is extremely susceptible to disease-causing bacteria from the heating process, it is then sprayed with ammonium hydroxide, also known as ammonia, a cleaning fluid, and water. Then it is frozen and shipped to meat industries, where it is combined with pure beef products to make ground beef with a lower fat content. While the product may seem like a good idea, a lot of concern has risen over the process of making pink slime.
This is not the first account of apprehension over the process of our meat products. In the late 1890s to early 1900s, meat packaging factories were unsanitary and unsupervised, leading to a lot of deaths and workers and dangerous meat products. Rats often infested the factories, so workers killed them with rat poison, sometimes accidentally leaving rat bodies in the meat products. Workers were not treated well, so they were not often given a chance to wash their hands before eating or after going to the bathroom. If injuries occurred, blood could get into the meat and eventually made its way to the citizens' plates.
It was live or die, sink or swim. So the deadened conditions in the slaughtering house and that death that also permeated the battle between the owners and the workers.
It created this traditional, naturalistic, deterministic story in which human beings, just like the animals that are pulled up the chute in the packing plants, and they are pulled up with this sense of optimism at the beginning, this idea of going to America, becoming successful, leaving behind the problems of Europe, and then they go down just like the animals, and they are processed too.
Upton Sinclair wrote The Jungle in 1906 to raise public awareness of poor working conditions. Workers had their fingers burned by acid in the pickling rooms and risked falling into boiling vats of meat. Furthermore, the sanitation of these factories were deplorable. There would be meat that had tumbled out on the floor, Upton said, in the dirt and sawdust, where the workers had tramped and spit uncounted billions of consumption germs. There would be meat stored in great piles in rooms, and the water from leaky roofs would drip over it, and the thousands of rats would race about on it. The packers would put poisoned bread out for them, and they would die. And then rats, bread, and meat would go into the hoppers together. The process of making meat in these factories is very similar to how pink slime is used as a filler today, yet much more gruesome with no real nutrition in it. They use everything of the pig except the squeal, Sinclair said. All the miracles of chemistry which they performed, giving to any sort of meat, fresh or salted, whole or chopped, any color and any flavor and any odor they chose. They had an ingenious apparatus, a machine consisting of a hollow needle attached to a pump. By plunging this needle into the meat and working with his foot, a man could fill a ham with pickle in a few seconds. However, the readers cared more about the sanitation of the meat they were eating rather than the safety and well-being of the workers. Sinclair said, "I aimed at the public's heart, and by accident, I hit it in the stomach."
As the public began to react, they started pushing Congress for legislation on proper inspection of their food. Sinclair sent a letter to President Theodore Roosevelt to strengthen the movement he started.
You ask, is there anything further say in the Department of Agriculture, which you would suggest my doing, I would suggest the following. Find a man concerning whose intelligence and integrity you are absolutely sure. Send him up here and tell him all that I saw and how I saw it, and give him the names and addresses of the people who enable him to see it. Let him go to Packingtown as I did, as a working man, live with the men, get a job in the yards, and use his eyes and ears, and see if he does not come out at the end of a few weeks feeling that the conditions in the packing houses constitute a menace to the health of the civilized world. Thank you for your kind interest. Very sincerely, Upton Sinclair.
Pressured by concern of the public interest, Roosevelt pushed Congress to pass the Meat Inspection Act and Food and Drug Act of 1906. The main points of these acts were to detect and destroy diseased meat and other contaminated foods, assure sanitary handling and preparation, prevention of improper use of chemicals in food, prevention of false labeling, and the application of a federal inspection insignia. After this, people became more aware of what they were consuming because of proper labeling. Although there was a slight decline in trust of meat industries after The Jungle was published, this legislation helped bring business back in better than ever. Ever since 1906, the Food and Drug Administration has been monitoring and censoring the quality of food products that are consumed by Americans. Ever since this pink slime issue was brought up, some citizens have been complaining about the safety of this substance that the USDA has approved of. Since the USDA is putting this issue aside until further conclusions can be reached, the public has become outraged with protest. Individual food chains have begun labeling their products as pink slime free to satisfy the public.
It's economic fraud. It's not fresh ground beef. It's a substitute. It's a cheap substitute being added in.
Why didn't you consider it beef?
Because it was a salvage product.
Leftovers?
Fat that had been heated at low temperature and the excess fat spun out. The undersecretary said, it's pink, therefore it's meat.
The response of the public to pink slime is varied. Health-conscious eaters who try to avoid processed foods do not want to ingest pink slime at all, so they have begun to refuse to eat any ground beef product that is not explicitly labeled as pink slime free. Many citizens are forced to continue to buy the cheapest meat because they cannot afford to spend the extra amount necessary to ensure the purest meat. Meat containing pink slime is cheaper because it costs less to produce, since it uses undesirable cattle parts. Still, other consumers do not believe that pink slime is dangerous. Supporters of LFTB claim that the process is a good way to efficiently extract every useful part of the slaughtered animal. Additionally, it can be said that the added ammonia is preferable because of its destruction of pathogens.
Well, first of all, this is not filler, this is beef. We use a machine to separate lean beef from fat, and it helps us prevent waste, and it is a safe process that's called lean, finely textured beef. And what's happened over the last several weeks in the media and in the social media space is really a travesty, because it is a safe product that's nutritionally equal to ground beef.
Where are the studies on this? You know, these are scraps. Let's call it what it is. This is stuff that used to just be put in pet food, not fit for human consumption, banned in England, that then is slightly heated so they can do that separation process, which increases the pathogens in what's left over. Then they have to add the ammonium hydroxide cleaning fluid so that they can sterilize it or disinfect it. And ammonia is a waste product in our bodies. It's what makes urine smell. It's what's in cleaning fluid. It is noxious to us. If it's so safe, I want to see the studies, not do an experiment on my children. Processing in our food industry, and this is just one example, is an issue. We have an obesity epidemic that probably can be partly blamed on what we're doing to our food supply, how we feed our animals, what we give them in terms of additives, and processing like this.
Parents are a large part of the anti-pink slime movement because of their concern for their children's health. Pink slime is still used in many school cafeterias from kindergarten up to high school.
Well, we no longer can use the ground beef, as in using hamburgers, meatballs, or any other stuff like that due to the pink slime. Not at my school, but other schools. Don't buy it. It's only an additive. It doesn't really hurt anybody's development, but health-wise, the Stanford Public School System did the right thing to take it out.
How you doing? I'm Jamie.
Jamie Oliver of England is a modern-day Upton Sinclair because he is raising awareness of the quality and sanitation of our food. He left his family to film his food revolution in America.
Hi, Daddy.
I'm here to show America just a little effort can make a massive difference.
Although pink slime was first produced in 2001, Jamie Oliver is the one who set the fire to the flame on this issue in one of his episodes of Jamie Oliver's Food Revolution through a demonstration of how pink slime is made and used. He shows the public, kids and adults, the content of other processed foods in hopes to create a healthier nation like he did in parts of Britain. Although Upton Sinclair didn't intend for the public to focus on the quality of their food products like Jamie Oliver did, both of them created a large food movement. Many popular restaurants and food supply chains have pledged to no longer sell meat containing pink slime. The big names include Stop & Shop, Safeway, Costco, Publix, McDonald's, Taco Bell, and Burger King.
I definitely hold by the opinion that our food should have the fewest steps from the ground to your table. So as far as I'm concerned, the less processing, the better. I'm a believer in going for grass-fed beef and going for ones that don't have growth hormones, that don't have antibiotics added to them, because we're seeing so many effects of that, from antibiotic resistance to we don't know the cause of our obesity epidemic. It's not just that people have gotten lazy.
Bottom line, FDA says it's safe. Industry says it's made from real beef. My take is I want to know if it's in there, so I have the choice as to whether to eat it.
The instance of public outrage over food regulation and sanitation leading to governmental action occurred in the early 1900s with the jungle. It happened now, starting in 2011 with pink slime, and will undoubtedly occur again in the future, whether it is about meat or other processed food.